Hello, and welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Happy Day of the Turkey.
Happy Turkey Day. What? Gobble, gobble. Yes, so today we're doing the Thanksgiving special.
Yeah. And if any one of you have listened to the Halloween special, Jose told a very sweet story about his mother calling Thanksgiving the Day of the Turkey. And I thought it was so cute.
It's Turkey Day.
I'm trying to.
For people that are not from the U.S., so let's say it's their first generation American or they just got to this country, whatever, or visiting, yeah, it can be a foreign concept. Because I think the only other country that does it is Canada. And even at then, they do it like in October or something.
Yeah. Maybe like you guys are celebrating food by eating all day, like just being pigs.
Yes. Well, and so here's the thing. So for me, it's one of my favorite holidays because you get to come together and you give thanks for everything that you have. It's like a special just time where and it's on one day, so everybody's congregating at one time.
Grandma's house, probably.
Grandma's house, whose ever house you're going to, even if, we'll talk about that a little bit if you're having like a Friendsgiving, that happens too. But you all kind of come together. You get to partake in eating together, breaking bread, right? Maybe that's where the expression comes from. Because I think there's something about sitting together and having a meal, whether you do it on a regular basis or not, at home with your kids, or even if you just have a loved one or whatever. There's just something about that just kind of brings people together.
Yeah.
I don't know the sharing of food.
Because who doesn't love food?
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, right? Like just the way the setup is, everybody's sharing. So you can, usually somebody cooks the turkey and maybe they do the stuff in some of the sides, but then other people can bring dishes too, right? Especially if it's like an old family recipe or, something like, I don't know why green beans, but I'm not a big green bean person, but everywhere I go, everybody brings a green bean salad or whatever it's called. Casserole.
Because they throw bacon on top of it. That's why it tastes good.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's throw bacon on this vegetable.
But I was never that big a fan of green beans. I don't know why. Green beans just don't do it for me. There used to be a kid, though, just FYI, and I'm going to digress for a second. There was a kid when I was growing up. He loved green beans. Every time they had green beans at school, he would take everybody's green beans. And everybody was happy giving them away.
He was a green bean thief?
He really was. He just loved it. He just loved green beans. And everybody just give it to him because, we don't want it. Just take it, dude.
He's full of
green
beans.
Yeah, but for him, it was like Christmas, man. He was just like, heck yeah, man. He would just love green beans.
I wish I had that problem.
Right?
Thinking vegetables are like, oh, my God.
But nevertheless... And the cool thing about that, right? Again, it's food and it's all communal, right? So everybody's pass the potatoes, pass the carrots, pass, whatever. And there's just something about that sharing food. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a psychological thing to it.
Yeah.
People have been doing it forever. You go back hundreds of thousands of years, you sit by the fire, you eat whatever you killed or whatever you scavenged that day, whatever. But you ate as a group.
Yeah.
And they do it even, you look at primates, even when they go out there in the forest and stuff, they're all kind of eating together.
Yeah.
And, there's something about it. I don't know. But yeah. So
I was just made me think, I remember growing up and my parents were, for the most part, I remember they were on opposite shifts. So one worked midnight shift, one's a day shift. And they did that for a majority of the time I was growing up, it felt like. And so we didn't really have the traditional all sitting down eating as a family. But I remember when we did have those times, it did feel really good.
Awesome.
Even if it's I don't know, maybe how when you're of a certain age, you may get annoyed, Dad, don't say that to me, or whatever. But
I'm assuming that's my boy child, my man child talking like that. Because if that was my little girl, I was like, what's wrong with you?
Well, the girl would be like, Dad, you're so lame. Dad, stop it.
There it is.
Yeah. But it did feel really good. So it's that same feeling.
Yeah.
But on a usually larger scale, usually have extended family on things.
Yeah. And so even with that, growing up, we didn't have big extravagant Thanksgivings. I remember, this is what I like.
Wait, what's an extravagant Thanksgiving?
When
catered?
No. Just all the fixings, everybody's there, what a big traditional. And the reason I say that, because it was usually, when I was growing up in my house, it was just my mom would cook it and then she had a few sides here and there. So we just ate or I would eat. But what was more exciting for me, I would go over to my buddy's house. And Thanksgiving was the best
Mm.
because I had three best friends that I grew up with, and I would go to each one. We would all go to each other's houses and just eat and veg out.
Nice.
Yeah, so you go to one dude's house and you eat there, and then you leave.
You're like, no pumpkin pie? Oh, well, maybe the next house will have it.
Exactly. Then we go to the next one and we eat some more, and then after that we leave there and go to the next house and eat some more. And so it was the best. So I
That
got to
sounds
eat
like a
like three.
dream.
Yeah, and there was because each one of them had their families, right? So for me, it was just my mom, and so we didn't always like sit around and do that. But I thought it was very important that when I grew up, I would do that for my family and my kids and stuff. So I made it a point to like, okay, we're gonna have Thanksgiving
Yeah.
dinner. We're gonna cook a turkey. We're gonna do the whole
You're
thing.
going to sit here and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what was interesting about that too, so, while I was married, we would always do it and everybody would come over and celebrate and have a good time. But then when I got a divorce, because she used to cook the turkey, I had to learn how to cook a turkey. That was interesting. So, but I did learn, and now, they have so many different tools and stuff that, like thermometers and stuff that you can better try to like not overcook the turkey and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I've gotten pretty good at it. I will say she used to cook the heck out of that turkey, but she followed the recipe and it would always come out really juicy and tender. And, but I'm getting better. I think this is the year. This is my year. I feel it. I feel like this is the year.
2022.
Yeah, this is the year where I'm going to kill it on that turkey. It's going to be juicy. And I usually do two turkeys. I do one in the oven and then one in the, I do fryer or whatever. So,
Outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in regards to, because I was thinking about like, in regards to relationships, let's just say for the sake of argument that a previous family member, you've been having some beef, disagreements, whatever. Thanksgiving is a good time to reconcile because you're there for one purpose and one purpose only, which is supposed to be to give thanks
Yeah.
and congregate with your, friends and family and everybody. So it would be a good time because even if you don't like each other, supposedly that's supposed to be the time where you truce, right? It's like, okay, we're not here to have a fight or anything like that. We're here to enjoy.
Have
and
you
maybe
had
can put your
that
differences
instance in your life, in your family, where
Yeah.
they? Oh, okay.
Have you not had that on yours?
Not that I.
No, there's not like an uncle that nobody likes that comes over or anything like
You think
that.
I'm gonna, even if there was, that I would reveal?
I mean, I'm just
No.
saying. So
I can't
mean,
think
yeah.
of anybody.
Everybody just gets along.
I guess so.
Okay. Well,
And the people that didn't get along weren't blood, so they're gone from the family anyway. Like they're no longer here.
but yeah, I mean, it's a good time to reconcile with stuff because you put all those different, even if you're having a disagreement with your siblings or whatever is going on at that time, because you're gonna have it. There's just no way around it. And if you have brothers and sisters, you're gonna disagree. It happens.
Yeah.
You don't get along with everybody. You don't see eye to eye on everything.
Well, I know this is going to come out corny, but I really do give thanks a lot. Like I find myself, especially as I'm getting older, like, I don't know, at least like twice a week, I kind of do the same thing. I give my thanks and in my head, right? And I say like, here's all the things that I'm grateful for. Like, I get it that it's like a national day for that, but like, I think that it'd be better if people just gave thanks more often. Tell the people that you love them.
Yes, I agree. You should always tell people how you feel about them. Obviously, in a good way. Not it's like I don't like you. You're a jerk.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. I think if anything is going to combat, let's say downtrodden or sadness, it would be gratefulness because it's hard to be sad when you're grateful for stuff. You know what I mean? Even just the little things, even the fact that you woke up that day, you should be grateful that you're alive and breathing. And you know what I mean? It's, I'm a big morning person. So for me, I always.
Yeah. Can I reveal a secret about you?
Sure. Feel free.
Jose told me that when he wakes up in the morning, he's always smiling.
Always smiling.
And I just picture you just like, it's so funny in my head. You open your eyes and you like rub them like with your knuckles, like when you're a kid. Yes. And then you're just smiling and then you like, stretch out. Good morning, son.
That's exactly how it goes down. How did you? Do you have a camera in my room or what? What's going on here? It's kind of creepy. Yeah, and then I get up and I make pancakes and everything works itself out. I'm a very optimistic person. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the realities of life, but in general, I'm a pretty optimistic person. I'm always hoping for the best. Always. So, but part of that is grateful. Like and I'll tell you this, I'm one of the luckiest dudes that you'll ever meet. I don't know why, but I've always had really, really good fortune. Like, I haven't hit the lotto yet. Yet. But, I've had some, pretty, I've won a car before. I've won a bike. What else have I won? Um, I've won a vacation. I've won a couple of different things. And then just in general, sometimes I feel like I'm at the right place at the right time sometimes. And stuff just happens to work out for me. I don't know why. I don't, and I kind of always take that with me. So there's times when I feel low and I feel down and stuff, and then I remind myself, I'm like, you know what? Even at my lowest, and I've been pretty low in my time, but even my lowest, things always work out. So I'm like, all right. So based on previous experience of things working out for me, I'm just gonna go with the flow and say things are gonna work out for me, and they always do. It's funny.
Congratulations on your good fortune.
You're like, shut up, dude. Nobody wants to hear about you.
Somebody does. Someone's like, thank you for sharing.
Just not you. You're like, oh, you suck. But, even with that, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it too, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, I've been very fortunate, but I've worked very hard to try to Thanksgiving, anybody that's ever cooked Thanksgiving, let me tell you something. For everybody that's going to go out there and feast, please thank the person that cooked all the food. Please, whether it's multiple people or one person, it doesn't matter. Please, because I do it every year. I've been doing it for the last, 6 years? And it is not easy. It is not easy. And by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. Actually, I start the day before. This is not a cooking show, but but if it were.
Cooking time with Jose.
But I will say this, right? So I'm bringing, as it relates to relationships, I bring my kids into it now. So the night before, I start cooking up all the desserts and bacon and stuff. Yeah, bacon, the cheesecake. I do a pumpkin cheesecake, and I do a blueberry peach cobbler thing. I make cranberry sauce from scratch, but it's such an easy. There's nothing to it.
You mean you just open the can?
No. What? Okay. Hold on. What did you say? Do you eat cranberries out of a can?
I don't eat cranberry sauce, period.
But when you do, tell me. I don't. Okay, but when you're around, tell me there's real cranberry sauce.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to it if there is.
Okay. Nobody should ever eat cranberry out of a jar or out of a can.
I never, even growing up, I remember seeing this dessert jelly thing and not understanding why this is at the table.
No.
And so I didn't like mixing sweet and savory. So I never did. And as an adult, I don't ever remember not one time eating cranberry sauce.
No, you can't. Sorry. Cranberry sauce, if you make it, you buy the cranberries and then you just add I think the same amount of sugar and you boil it and you reduce it, and it's the best thing in the world. But I don't
understand that it's put on what? The turkey?
Yeah, you can eat it with turkey, savory and sweet at the same time.
Okay, I don't.
You can even, it meshes well with even even the green bean thing because they put bacon in it. You do it that way too. But yeah.
I don't want jelly on my green beans, but anyway.
I mean, it's good. I mean, obviously it's cranberry sauce, so you can actually make it in peanut butter and jelly, except not jelly, but cranberry sauce.
Okay, I guess in that sense, I would eat a peanut butter and cranberry sauce sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually really, really good, but it's very easy to make. It's really not that. And you have to time everything. You have to make sure everything comes out at the right time, and you have to warm it up. So we do the bacon the day before. My kids put on their aprons, and I'm like, okay, do this, do that. And then the next day I do the whole turkey and everything. But anyways,
is it important for your relationship with your sons to do this because you're trying to teach them here's a tradition that you need to carry on?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
In a nutshell.
And I need help too. Not two birds with one stone. Two birds with one stone. No, but and that's the other thing. And I feel myself, because I do a lot of DoorDash and Grubhub and all that stuff. And I don't know, Don't get me wrong, I can afford it and it's good and it's delicious, but there's nothing like cooking for yourself. Why are you laughing? You're
I'm just
cracking up.
nothing. Go on.
Why?
I was just thinking about you DoorDash everything. It's just insane. But go
Well, I
on.
mean, because it's so easy, it's convenient. You
I
just
know, but like
click it
if
on your
there's a
phone.
McDonald's like a quarter a mile from your house, why
It's too
wouldn't you just drive?
far. Quarter of a mile. What are you talking about? I'm here, right? I'm here, and that's way over there. And you're telling me I got to get in a car, go drive up there,
I
stand
have
in
never
line,
DoorDash
and then come
myself, and
back.
I even if like pizza delivery, like I'd rather just go pick it up. I don't do that kind of stuff.
You don't deliver pizza?
If I do, it's like maybe for some reason I can't leave, but most of the time I'm like, I'm gonna go
See,
pick
here's
it
the
up.
thing. I'm helping the economy out. See, you're over here. There's a poor guy that's trying to trying to make a living as a pizza delivery guy, and you just killed his whole dream right there because
Well,
you're not ordering it, so you can't make any money.
I'm still contributing to the store, and it's keeping it in business, which keeps him having a job. So I am.
No, because he only has a job if he's delivering. They're not
No, but they're still going to employ him because there's still like if I
No.
go to Domino's, there's still a need for
Anyways, and they got more advanced technology. It'll tell you exactly where your food's at any given time. What are
yeah,
you
it'd be
kidding
like
me?
Jeremy is making your sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be there at this amount of time between this time, and it's great. But cooking is it can be a fun experience too. I would say I enjoy cooking, not so much the cleaning up part. I usually have friends and family that come and help me out. But in that same vein, I've done a Friendsgiving before too. A Friendsgiving is much, much different.
Friendsgivings are really fun. It's more about the
Friendsgiving is
drinking of the wine.
yes, getting to know and having inappropriate conversations
Yeah.
in the round table.
Yeah.
But Friendsgiving are good. So I had a Friendsgiving once, and they did. This is the first time I ever did it, but they did it jerky style. You know how they have chicken jerky, but they did it with turkey.
Turkey jerky.
Turkey jerky. That's exactly right. Turkey. I don't know. It
No,
does sound-
jerk your turkey doesn't sound good.
No, well, turkey. Yeah, turkey.
Turkey jerky.
It doesn't
Not
matter.
turk your jerky. Or
Oh, I didn't say turkey.
jerk your turkey.
No, I said turkey or turkey. Anyways, you get my point.
Do we?
Yes, it was really good. It was awesome. I never had it before. They fried it. And yeah, it was fun. It was super fun.
I like the Friendsgiving idea because I think in our traditional thought process of Thanksgiving is just your family. But now we have this thing where, there's certain people that are not having children.
Yeah.
They're not getting married and they still want to do these things. But when you reach of a certain age, let's say your parents have passed away, things like that. Well, if you have this friend, it's a beautiful thing. I just really like that there's like another alternative that you can get together with your friends in that sense, but for the people who don't have a family or something.
It's tough. Well, and even at that, I once dated a gal and she volunteered. I can't remember if she volunteered on that day or the day before or whatever, but they're celebrating Thanksgiving. But she was volunteering in like a soup kitchen or something like that. I don't know. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like when they do that, you see some of the sports teams do it too. They go out and serve food to the, the homeless and things like that. I think that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you feel good and, like helping other people, but also, if you're fortunate enough to give back like that, why not?
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea too, like if you bring your kids into it, because, kids don't know any better. And sometimes, especially if you provide a very comfortable life for them, like they really don't understand just how hard it is to provide that comfort. They have no idea what goes into providing that. They will eventually, but you're right. I think there's a lot of people that are, foregoing the family thing, and that's a conscious choice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you're right. They still want to socialize and be around people and give thanks. So yeah,
it's just like you're having a party, but because of the different food, it's an awesome party. It's like, because if you go to your friend's house on a random Friday night, they're like, oh, I'm having a little house party. They're not going to have a turkey there. Like that's not going to be on the menu.
Right.
So,
and turkey, that's the other thing. So even afterwards, if you watch football, again, we live in Dallas, so the Dallas Cowboys play every Thanksgiving. That's always fun too, man. I just sitting around, everybody watching the game. Usually, like I said, by the end of the day, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I just want to. You know what I end up doing, because and anybody that cooks a lot knows what I'm talking about. you cook so much that sometimes you don't even have an appetite by the time you're
You're
done.
like, I'm sick of smelling this turkey.
Yes. You get tired of smelling the food, and you just like you don't even want to eat. You're just like everybody else eat. That's fine, enjoy it, but I'm gonna just sit this one out.
You know, it made me think when you said the cowboy thing, in my mind, when I think of Thanksgiving, it always ends this way. The men are all in the living room watching the Cowboys. The women are all in the kitchen talking.
Well, it's changed a lot. Now women are more into sports, or at least as they claim to be. So, and no. Actually, there are some women that can probably out-talk me when it comes to
What
sports.
if you're married to somebody where you guys are both really into that? Who cooks on that day when you're both, let's say you both want to watch the game and you don't?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. In the past, when I was married, she cooked, and then afterwards, when we got divorced, I took over. I don't think she does. I don't know. I haven't asked her. I don't know if she does a spread or not. So, anyways, I
I
don't
would
know.
want my husband to help me. Like,
Good luck with
you're
that
not going to
one.
be, no.
Good luck with that
You're going to
one.
be sitting on the couch and I'm like cooking 12 sides.
Good luck with that one. Because you know how guys are. They pretend that they're going to do something stupid and ruin it. So they're like, oh,
He's like on the couch watching, but he's got like a spatula in his hand. Like he
yeah.
was just in the kitchen doing something and then like a play happened and you got to run. Oh.
As long as you do it, like if you time it out properly, again, but
Only
it is,
during commercials when you
no, I
run in the
mean,
kitchen.
no, I mean, like, like again, I'll cook all the desserts the night before. I'll
Yeah.
warm them up the next day, and even some of the side dishes. So I could do like mashed potatoes and like sweet potato, and kind of put that. And then when I start doing the turkey, and then when everybody else brings their stuff in.
Can I say a date idea for home that I always liked every year is because I cook my own things that I bring to my mother's house.
Yeah.
And I like to, the night before, I open up a bottle of
Oh,
wine.
look at you.
I have my partner come over and it's like, let's, cook the cookies and the stuff you can pre-cook, right? But it's almost like a very, like a
No, I don't
sensual
know.
date. Like we're cooking and we're having wine and then, the cookies come out and I give them a hot one fresh out of the oven.
Sound like dirty cookies to me. I don't want your cookies anymore.
Oh, you want my cookies.
No, I'm gonna be fine. Like, oh, these cookies were.
But it's just, I don't know why I
have
like
sex
that.
on them.
I wonder if I saw it like in a movie or something. But there's something
Nine and
about
a Half
that.
Weeks was like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I didn't see that. But it's just like, it's because there's no pressure on the time. So the day of when I cook the stuff that needs to be warm when I leave, there's so much pressure to time that right. Of like, okay, I got to get ready and cook this simultaneously. What do I cook first? And then I put here and then, I can warm it here. And then I got this much time to do my hair. And then you're like,
no, cooking together can be very erotic.
yeah.
Very, very erotic. Even if you have kids. And then you're just gonna have to muscle through that. Poor kids. But let's say you live in a family unit and everything, and like you start cooking, it's very, very erotic. You have to
like
be
come
careful.
up behind her and you take the baster.
Absolutely.
And you suck up the juice and put it on the turkey.
That's what we're calling it now?
I meant for real. You're taking that as no.
Oh, I get you. No, but yeah, it is very sensual. It's very playful. Depending on, right? Because it can be very, very, what is it? Authoritarian or very like tyrannical. If you're like, it's got to be this way and you got to put
Well, I
this
think
much.
both people
But if
need
as long
to
as you have fun.
agree, like, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is going to be a sexy, we can cook and have some drinks kind of thing, listen to music in the background,
Yeah.
But yeah, if the other person's not on board and what if they get frustrated, like, you dropped another egg or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like cookies and stuff, that's easy. But if
Yeah.
it's like a real dinner,
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the stuff you make the night before. So the pies, anything that can be in the fridge or whatever, that kind of stuff usually doesn't require that much attention.
Right.
So
I think it's also because I've sometimes like if let's say you cook with one another and once the cooking is done, like let's say because you know that you got to get it done, right? Or you're baking, like don't get me wrong,
Can't
we're gonna have
burn
fun.
every
Yeah,
batch.
exactly. But once you do that, as soon as the last thing is done or it comes out of the oven and you just need to let it sit, I think that's when things get interesting because you've built up so much around it. So now
all that foreplay.
Exactly, which is really what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly that. You're getting along, you're being very nice to one another. So now that is done. So you're right, the foreplay, it's all out there.
Yeah.
Now it's time to seal the deal, let's say.
Yeah.
But that actually leads me as a good segue into the first time you bring your romantic partner over for Thanksgiving to meet your family.
Yeah.
Because well, everybody in your family gets along, so it's probably a boring for Thanksgiving. But for other people, right, it might be interesting because you might have quirky cousins or quirky nieces, nephews, what have you, or uncles or whatever. Let's say they
Are
have.
you talking about them being embarrassed, like your date being embarrassed because you have a weird uncle?
Yeah, well, just they're gonna see another side of you that they've
Oh,
never seen, right?
okay.
So they're gonna see your family where you came from, and this is your family for better or worse. This is your family, and so and even if two people don't get along, which sometimes let's say they didn't reconcile, but now they're hashing it out right there in front of everybody. They're gonna meet that person, and it could be a little overwhelming because I know. Well, for me, I've always hosted, but I've had, I've invited romantic partners, and they're always nervous when they're like, are they gonna like me or they're not gonna like me? It's like, oh, I don't know what it's like on the other end to go
Yeah.
to their Thanksgiving because I'm always doing my own.
Yeah.
But I would imagine, I guess it would be a little nervous.
It is, and only because there's so many people. So it's like you're already going to be a little bit not nervous, but like if you go to say you haven't met their parents yet and they say we're going to have dinner, come over. It's still going to be a little bit like exciting, right? Because you don't know what to expect. But now you're doing that times like 100 because like let's say you have a big Thanksgiving, you're on display now in front of everybody, and they're all judging you. And
That's
like,
really what
oh,
you
look
think?
at Ricky's new girlfriend. Yeah, 100%.
Really? Why do you think
Because that's
that?
what people do. What do you mean? If I was at a Thanksgiving and let's say one of my nieces had like a boyfriend and she brought like I'm not saying in a mean way, but it's like I would be like, oh, okay, so this is who
No
she
nieces are
chose.
gonna bring their boyfriends over now. Like, screw that. Aunt Robbie's over here judging my boyfriend. Screw that. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. But yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was
You really
going.
think that they're judging you though? I don't think that they're. I would love to. Let's just say that my son brought over a girlfriend. I'd love to get to know her
Yeah.
and be like, oh, okay, like I wanna know who you are. You know what I mean? Like I would imagine they would probably be more nervous than I am. Maybe that comes with age, where I'm like I'm not nervous anymore. But I've never been nervous to meet parents.
It's not
Ever.
about being nervous, it's just overwhelming if you have to meet all these new people that are a part of your new partner's life. So you're meeting everybody for the first time. They're all going to ask you questions, kind of bug you all day. Like, what's the story? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I haven't been through that in a long time. Or maybe I don't know if I ever went into like a big Thanksgiving. I did go into certain Thanksgivings with ex-boyfriends where they did have extended family, but it wasn't like overly huge where it was overwhelming. I know some people have like Thanksgivings, they have like 100 people there.
Yeah, I mean, if you can fit them all. Listen, in my house, I've yet to invite a family member, but they all show up anyways.
Well, yeah, because you're cooking turkey two different ways.
Exactly, basically. So like they just show up. They just tell me like, "Hey, I'm gonna be over." I'm like, okay, I guess. So I mean, that's part of the reason why I cook two turkeys because I don't always know how many people are going to show up, and then plus, I'm in a Mexican family and they're really bad about RSVPing.
Oh yeah,
They just don't.
We'll
do
be
it.
there if we're going to be there.
Exactly.
But I was thinking about do you have a time limit on when you would take a significant other to go to Thanksgiving with you, or does it matter? Like, let's say you were dating for a month, would you take her to meet all your family for
I
Thanksgiving?
think it would depend. If they already have something going on, which most of the time they do, then no. Like you can go do whatever you were already planning on doing.
But what if they didn't?
I might. It depends. Like again, I'm not trying to put any pressure on them either. It just depends on the situation. Like
it would be hard for me to bring someone to meet all my family before I knew that I was like serious about them. If it's too new and I'm like, this guy may not be here for, the next couple of weeks, why would I bring him? Right? What's so funny?
why are you even thinking that? Why are you even dating the guy in the first place, I guess?
Because you don't know them yet.
Just
if you've
a
been
boy
dating
toy?
for no. if you're dating for someone for a month, you don't know if it's going to go anywhere or not. You can't, that's really early to tell. So if I brought George over to meet my family, we were dating for 3 weeks. I brought him to Thanksgiving. And then 2 weeks later, we break up because it was just a fling.
Yeah.
Then all my family's like, what happened to George?
It was a fling. We got over it. You know, I'll say this much, right? So I have a friend of mine, and because he doesn't think in those terms. Like, he doesn't think of, oh, what are people going to think about this? And oh, for him, he would just say, just invite everybody. What difference? Because he's more of like kind of go with the flow. So he's not trying to determine the outcome, right? Which again, we talked about, before, you and I, where we're trying to determine the outcome, which is really a weird. I'm still going to say it because even now you gave an example of why you would not invite somebody, because there is that possibility that it might not work out.
Yeah.
So why even invite him to begin with? So my buddy, and I love him for this, he doesn't think in those terms. He's like, yeah, the more the merrier. Bring him in. Yeah, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if you guys go on to be forever, so be it. But the moment is now, and we're having it. Let's celebrate it. Let's have a good time. So long as everybody acts appropriately, right?
Yeah.
He's like, the more the merrier. Just bring him on in. And I've learned from him that he just kind of goes with the flow. He doesn't always try to predict the outcome. Not always. There are certain exceptions to that, and there's something liberating about that, where you just kind of just go with it, see what happens. And it's in those moments that you get surprised, and you sometimes, a pleasant surprise. But what I have noticed is that most people do behave themselves. And so, because I know that there's like different family dynamics nowadays. So let's just say for the sake of argument that you and your ex-husband or wife still get along. And you all know each other's family and stuff because obviously y'all were married.
Right.
It might be a situation where one of the exes invites the other one and says, yeah, you can even bring your new husband or wife.
Right.
And we're all just going to eat together and give thanks, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's no bad feelings. I don't know how you would feel about that. Let's say you were dating a guy and you went to go meet his family, and then you found out that his ex and his ex's boyfriend or whatever is also there, but that's just the way they are because they still get along.
Wait, so his ex-girlfriend is with someone else at the party? She's not single.
Well, let's do both.
Okay.
Let's do both. So let's say obviously the single one is what's getting you. So let's leave the other one, because obviously the other one we know you don't have a problem with. But if she was there because everybody knows her,
it's too weird. I don't like it.
So you wouldn't go?
No.
Wow.
It's just not that anyone's doing it on purpose, but it feels a little disrespectful. It's like, and I don't mean if we're newly dating, because it's like, again, you don't know.
6 months, a year? How much?
Let's say it was like a year. Okay. And we were serious and we were talking about getting married and blah, blah, blah. I go over there to the first Thanksgiving and there's his ex. Do they have kids together or no?
I'm assuming they do, or else there would be no other reason why she would be there.
Yeah, still. I would feel like, wait, why? But if she had already.
Okay. So let me, since we're playing the make-believe game, right? So let's fast forward and let me put you in a different scenario. So now you're a mom and your son, and obviously you're having your Thanksgiving, and your son was married for 10 years, and you and his wife got along super along. Like, y'all still meet up almost every Sunday or every other Sunday to talk, have brunch,
Me
whatever.
and the mom?
You and his ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
Because when they were married, you guys were close, and then it didn't work out between him and her, right? But you're still close with her because you guys go out and do stuff. You meet for brunch. You have a lot in common. You talk books. You talk, the different things. You guys are like, you just get along. He's like the daughter you never had or whatever, right? And now your son starts dating somebody else, and she's always came over for Thanksgiving, but now they're divorced. Would you say, hey, sorry, ex, I can't invite you anymore because my son's got a new girlfriend that he's been dating for a year, mind you, but it's still, so I'm not going to invite you. Would you say no to her and she'd be like, oh, okay.
Well, maybe that would be a conversation that I would have with the son. Like, how do you feel about it before me inviting his ex? You know what I'm saying? Like,
but if you always did it, that's what I'm saying.
I know,
how would you have that conversation?
I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying. And that's where the dynamic comes in. So for me, right, this is
Mhm.
how I feel. If I'm dating somebody new, right, let's say, even if it's been a year, say I met her in December.
Yeah.
So went the whole
Yeah.
year.
You met her on the day. You met her on Black
Yeah. I
Friday.
met her on Black Friday at the store. We were both fighting over a monitor that we both wanted. I let her have it, but it led to something better. But
Uh-huh.
anyways, and then Thanksgiving came around,
Okay.
and she's like, "Hey, just so my mom, she always invites my ex. He comes over too. They've been doing it, and we were married for 10 years. Like, I want you to come over, but he's going to be there too."
I would try to be okay with it. Like, go there, see how I feel,
Yeah.
get the vibe.
Hmm.
If the vibe is weird, like I can tell something, my spidey senses, I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe. But if I went there and it was completely innocent, totally, there was no weird feeling, maybe I'd be like, okay, I understand.
You be okay with it at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of, I don't know. But obviously, if she had moved on and the ex was married again and her husband was there and they were really just there because of the mutual kid or whatever, but I don't know.
And the mom, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
It happens where the mom gets along with the girlfriend or the wife or
Yeah.
whatever, and then the relationship doesn't work out. But it's like, now what do you do?
Yeah.
Because we got along, but now you're technically divorced. So does that mean I disown you? And I say that because my ex in-laws, they love me too.
Hmm.
So if I wanted to go and hang out there for Thanksgiving, they would immediately like say, yes, come on by. I mean, like even after the divorce, I stayed at their place because I was driving through, and they were like, yeah, if you want
So
to
what
stay.
if like your ex-wife had gotten remarried and her parents invited you over there for Thanksgiving. You show up there, she shows up with her new husband, and let's say she's mad at the parents because maybe they didn't tell her, "Hey, we're inviting Jose."
Yeah.
And then you show up with your new
That's
husband and
between them. Between- I don't care.
I'm here for turkey.
I'm here to eat, drink, and be merry. That's what I'm here to do. And give thanks too. So, but after that, I don't really care. No, but I mean, I would assume that they probably would have that conversation with her.
Mm,
I don't know that I would ever do that, but I know that just knowing them, I would be welcome. I guess if she did protest too much,
mhm.
they probably would be like, yeah, I probably couldn't do it. And I understand, like, you don't owe me anything. We're exes at this point. We're not whatever. But yeah, that would be between them. But it always makes things, that's what I'm saying. Thanksgiving is kind of a weird,
Mhm.
because even though you're there to give thanks and you're there with friends and family, there are people that come into your lives and people that go out of your lives.
Yeah.
And you have to, even the Friendsgiving for that matter. Next year,
Yeah.
you might not invite a certain friend because he got drunk and got in a racist mode and just said some crazy stuff. Like, you're like, okay, let's not invite Fred anymore.
Oh, Fred, keep your mouth shut, Fred.
Or Hank or whatever. But nevertheless, like I said, like you just never know what that sort of stuff. But what I would say, and for me, like let's just say for the sake of argument, that did happen, right? I'm there, like I said, I really genuinely mean that. I'm there to give things, have fun. I don't care about what it looks like. I'm here to just have fun.
Mhm.
And I'm not here to say, ooh, because I would tell you right now, I don't care what the other dude looks like. I'm good. Like I wouldn't be sizing them up. I wouldn't feel any kind of way. I wouldn't care because that relationship is over.
Yeah.
I've moved on and I'm good to go. And like I'm just there to eat and have a good time.
Yeah.
If anything, I have less pressure on me to do anything. But if she feels a certain kind of way, I guess she would have to
Mm.
talk to her parents about
Can I ask you a question about in regards to food? So let's say you bring over your new girlfriend first Thanksgiving with you, and let's say let's say your mom cooks something that the girlfriend didn't like.
Mhm.
It's one of my fears of like sitting down at a table eating someone else's cooking, and let's say it's terrible, and then what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? Would you would you rather? Well, I guess I know what you would do. What do you think the majority of people do? Do you think the majority of people will just eat everything and pretend it was delicious even though it's terrible? Or they just would eat around it, kind of move it around to make it
Probably
look.
eat around it. And that's what I think most people would do. I mean, I don't really pay attention to that. There's a lot of,
It's just
unfortunately,
a
there's a lot of
pressure when
waste.
you're dating because, like, obviously you want to be on your best behavior. Let's say you're meeting their parents for the first time. you don't want to be like, take a bite of this potato salad and then you barf or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's
I
just,
would imagine that you would get the feedback from the rest of the family before that day happens. So if you just had a crappy dish, they would let you know ahead
no,
of
I'm talking
time.
about the girlfriend. If I was your girlfriend and
Yeah.
your mom made something that I took a bite out of and was like, wanted to spit it in my napkin,
Yeah.
I feel like most people just swallow it down. But like, what if you couldn't help it? And then your mom sees it and you're like, oh, you brought over that girl, the one that doesn't like my green bean
Well, I
casserole?
think it depends, right? I think it really does depend. Because there have been certain dishes like that they're like, oh, this is really good. But like for instance, I don't like onions.
Ugh.
So if I don't like onions and that thing is riddled with onions, I'm gonna be like, because I can still eat it. Like it's not gonna kill me. I'm not allergic to onions. I'm
Why
just
does anyone cook with something that smells like BO?
because if you cook it and you saute it enough, you caramelize it, it turns sweet. And like if you put that in like fajitas and stuff like that, like I can see the caramelized onions, put them on there, like then it's really really good. And if you get it right before they get burnt,
Okay, but the people who eat them raw, it
yeah,
smells like BO. Why do people like
that's a
them?
good question. I don't know, maybe the crunchiness of it. I don't know. It's a good question. You should put a survey out there for all those weirdos that eat like to
Yeah,
eat.
write and let us
Yeah.
know. How do you feel about onions?
But yeah, I think for me the polite thing would be because it might not be that it's bad. It's just that it's just not my taste.
Mm,
But if I can stomach it, I'll go ahead and eat it.
yeah.
If not, at the end of the day, if you can't eat it, don't eat it. And I don't think they would feel any
Well,
kind of
some moms would probably be very
if the
offended
mom
by
is
that.
paying that close of attention to it.
Again, they're judging
Why
them. Why
would
I
they
keep
be
trying to tell
judging
you?
them?
Why do you
No.
think why do
Why
you
do you
think
think
it's
they?
different that a woman wouldn't get judged meeting the boyfriend's parents?
What do you mean? What? Why?
I
The
said
mom
that we've
is
talked about this before.
that they're judging my
Yeah.
girlfriend at the time or
Yes.
whatever.
Why do you think that doesn't happen?
But what are they judging her on exactly?
My looks, what I'm saying, how I treat their son, all those things.
Yeah, really?
Yes, we've talked about this, but
So does that happen with every person that you bring in? So like, let's say your mom was dating somebody, you're gonna be judging that
oh
dude?
hell yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
because I want my mom to be with the best. And it's like, I'm gonna check you out. And if you ain't legit, I'm
Really?
gonna make my feelings known.
Wow. Harsh.
No, I probably wouldn't say anything, but unless she asked.
You got a little attitude there. I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Well, because you want it's the same thing with your children. You want them to be happy. And it's like you want to know that this person is gonna treat them right and blah blah blah. So it's like if my mom was dating, I would be looking at how he treats her. I'm gonna be watching you,
why? That just sounds
Bill.
so weird. Bill Nye, the science guy. He's a science guy. He knows everything. That is that's unique. I wouldn't do that. I would because it's none of my business. So with my kids, whatever woman they bring home, that's on
Maybe I'm
them.
speaking more for women. Maybe it's the women that judge.
It might be because I'm telling you, in general, mind you, in general. Now there might be, let's say the dad has viewpoints on women or something controversial, and he starts speaking his mind because let's say it's in his house or whatever.
right.
She might not agree with it, and they might kind of get into it, perhaps, depending on how outspoken she is, right? And she might be like, "Well, I disagree with you," and then kind of get into a debate. I guess in that situation, he would be like, "Yeah, whatever." But
That seems disrespectful to meet them on the first time and then get into an argument about politics or
well,
whatever.
that's what I'm saying. It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
But in general, like let's say my son were to bring home a girl, unless she's completely outrageous. And what I mean by that, like let's say she was wearing booty shorts,
Green
and,
hair.
yeah, and she like wasn't wearing a brassiere or a bra.
And she's like, "What's up, daddy?"
Yeah, and it's like see through and stuff, and I'm like, oh, like really that you're doing that on Thanksgiving? You know what I mean? Like if it was like completely outrageous like that,
Would you whisper to your son, like, "Can you?"
I even then I would be like, all right, if that's who he wants to be with, that's who he wants to be with. But there's nothing just so
You
that
wouldn't
you
be
know.
offended if your son's girlfriend wearing the see-through top was sitting in front of your mother at the dinner table and having to see that?
So I wouldn't particularly like it, but there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. Even if I disapprove of that girl, he's not going to stop seeing her.
Yeah.
He's just not. If anything, it'll become more problematic as we go along. Because if I tell her like, hey, if I tell him I don't like her, I don't like what
He's
she's
like, well, I'm going to
doing.
date her longer now.
Pretty much, it's like he might even just tell me, "Hey, Dad, it's really none of your business. Like I'm dating her. Like I don't know what to tell you. You don't have to like her." And I'm like, "All right, cool." If he's my son, he probably wouldn't say that. He gets socked in the nose. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I do that to all my spouses, even with my sisters. When they bring their boyfriends over, I don't particularly like them. I really don't. But it's their choice, and if they're happy with them, like okay, like that's y'all's thing. Like you know what I mean? I'm not. But that's weird that women do that. That women really do dissect folks, and y'all look at every single thing that he does.
Yeah.
Huh? Isn't that weird?
Keep on the lookout.
That's just so. That's blowing my mind a little bit.
I just thought of another kind of Thanksgiving insecurity I have if I was meeting like the family. Like, what's the thing in turkey that makes you sleepy?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's
Well, anyways, but okay, so you have that, and then so you're pegging out, right?
yeah.
And Thanksgiving full is on a whole nother level of full,
yeah.
right? So
Turkey,
like
ham.
I would have to like after all of that not fall asleep. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be hard to try to stay very upbeat when it's just like I'm so full I want to puke.
If you need to fall asleep, and then that would be the biggest compliment. if I feed you and you fall asleep, that means I did my job right.
My mom always says that like when significant others fall asleep like that, like if they were at her house and they fell asleep, she likes it because she says that like clearly they feel comfortable here. But
I've given them enough food and they're so
right.
stuffed.
But I couldn't fall asleep at like my boyfriend's.
Snore because all the women snore. Sorry.
But I couldn't do it. And it would make me, because you just feel uncomfortable and you're around all these people that you met for the first time. So you're trying to be on your best behavior. You can't like unzip your pants and like stick your belly out.
I would, you can if you want to.
You could.
I would feel like, I would be more upset with my family if they didn't welcome somebody.
Yeah.
There is this thing of, and this is universal across the board, that when you have a guest, you're supposed to be hospitable to those guests, even if they're your enemy. I remember watching, it's weird. I remember watching Romeo and Juliet, the Leonardo DiCaprio version of it. And the one guy, because he saw Romeo, was getting all ticked off. I forgot what his name was, but he was talking to the head of the family. And he was like, I can't believe he's here. And I'm going to go out there and like kick his butt or whatever, but in Shakespeare language. But anyways, he turned around.
But his kicked eye.
Yeah. but the guy got mad at him and says, you're not going to do that because this is my party and he's a guest and I did invite him and you're going to leave him alone and don't even think about doing anything disrespectful. So I think the emphasis would be more on the family. So if I brought in a new girlfriend and they didn't welcome her, or they were, if they were giving off the impression that they were just, even if they were, right, but if they didn't make her feel welcome, I'd be like, hey man, that's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Like okay, you don't like her, but here's where things get interesting. It's like, well, if you would have invited somebody, I wouldn't have done that to yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and everybody was once upon a time new until they're not, and then but I would hope that my family would welcome them because we're not here for that.
Yeah.
Like whatever you got all your comments again, and this is me personally, I don't really care what other people think about the people that I'm dating. It's not for them to say. It's for me, and if I'm happy, and I what is it? Project that same thing.
Yeah.
If you're happy, I'm happy for you, man. It's none of my business.
Can I ask you another question of like, how do you feel about, let's say you invite your significant other for the first time and then you ignore them the whole time? Because I've heard that complaint before too. Okay, so it's like, you take me to this party, Thanksgiving, I don't know anybody, and then you ignore me. You leave and you're gone, and I'm just standing there and it's awkward. Has that happened to you?
Kinda.
Doesn't it make you feel bad though? It's like she brought me here and then she's off with her family, like totally ignoring you.
Okay. So when it happened to me at the time, it depends, right? So if I were to go to a place and I got ignored, as you pull it, right, because she was getting pulled in many different directions or whatever, then obviously I would try to talk to other people within the
Yeah.
room. If they also ignored me, yes, then I'd be like,
No,
okay,
not that, but
no,
still.
but that's exactly right because you're there to socialize. So yes, I don't know anybody, but I'm gonna try to hang out with other people and talk to other guys or other females, whatever, whoever's there. I like talking to people,
Mhm.
so I'm not gonna feel neglected. Now, again, if I try to strike up a conversation with other people and I'm feeling the vibe that they just don't like me for one reason or the other, and I've been in situations where they were racist and I was there and you didn't like me because I was Mexican. I was like, all right, cool. Then yeah, I want to hurry up and leave. But that's a different situation. But I'm going to make the most out
Yeah.
of everywhere I'm at.
Mhm.
And so, but like I said, I've been in situations where I know that they don't like me and it's mostly because of the way I look. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about that. So if that's the case, yeah, I'll muscle through. I'm not going to complain to her.
Yeah.
I will eventually, the next time they have a gathering, be like, no, I'm not going to go. Not because for any other reason, but I know that they don't want me there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, if you're out socializing with your cousins or your sisters and that's just what you do, that's what you do. Go do it. But I don't want to just sit there by
Yeah.
myself, like being the outcast. I would much rather go do something else. Like
I
at that
just
point, you don't need me there.
Yeah, I just don't like that feeling because it's happened to me. And it's not like, I would try to talk to the family. It's not, nobody was rude or anything, but it's like my boyfriend invited me. It's my first time coming over here. And this person, whenever we got around his family, it's like I wasn't there. And it's like, why am I here then? Like, I want to be here as a couple, as a unit.
Yeah.
And you just like sit me on the couch and then you're gone. I don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting next to grandma and I'm like,
So I
hey.
know in a lot of times in the Hispanic families, and I don't know if it happens in other, I guess it does too, is like you were saying earlier, the women tend to congregate in one section
Yeah.
and the men, and that was okay. Like I like that arrangement because it was men talking about stuff that we want to talk about and women talking about whatever women would like to talk about. And that's okay.
Yeah.
There was something about that. I don't know why that turned into a bad thing or an evil thing. Like, oh, why can't they be mixed couple? And I was like, no, it's not that they can't. But sometimes, like you act differently around other females than you would when there's other guys there and
Right.
vice versa. Guys are going to talk differently when the girls aren't
Yeah, we're not going
around.
to talk about our periods when all the guys are standing around.
The red aunt.
Yes. Fire on.
Fire on. Fire on. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I congregate with other dudes, like that's part of the entire thing. Now, if he's gone and he's with a mixed group of people, then yeah, I can see how you feel the certain way. But if he's just hanging out with like mostly his male cousins or male brothers and like it's just the guys,
Yeah.
then you can't really like that's just what they do.
I think I'd be more okay with that if it was like very strict, like, okay, here's all the women, here's all the men, because then I could go in there as just a woman, not as like Jerry's girlfriend. It's like, I'm just a woman. We're talking about whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was mixed and like I said, let's say he was like going in different parts of the house and I'm literally just don't know where he's at and he's just gone for like an hour at a time and then comes back. He's like, hey, you okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, nobody's talking to me.
Well, it
And
depends on how social you are too. If he's a social person, a very social person, then that's going to happen regardless of whether he's with his family or not.
yeah.
So you'll go to a function and he'll just be the life of the party, hanging out with everybody. And again, unless
But that's not always the case because this person, it was not like that at all. It wasn't like they were outgoing like that.
it's just with their family.
I just think that it's like, I don't know, maybe selfishness. You just don't care how
It's not
I'm.
selfishness.
What are you talking
I don't
about?
think that's selfishness.
To just drop me off on the couch next to your grandma who's
No.
falling asleep and you
No.
go away? Yeah,
I'm
gonna
just
feel it.
saying.
I'm gonna feel a certain way about that.
I'm just saying that sometimes you can make the most out of a situation. And so you can go up and like socialize with other people and talk to people and stuff like that. I mean, I guess let's just say for the sake of argument that he brings you into it, right? Because I think that's what you're saying is like, okay, you're going to be in a mixed group.
Right.
Why am I not with you? And that's a valid question.
Yeah.
But if you're going to still go out there and they start talking about things that you have no interest in or really can't relate to or have no opinion on,
Yeah.
you're going to feel the same way, whether you're sitting next to grandma or you're in that
I'm
group.
just saying the first time it just makes me feel like, why am I here? If I had met your family a couple of times and we're all like social, then yeah, it wouldn't be so bad because it's like, okay, I know this person. We've talked a couple of times. It wouldn't feel as awkward as that first time of just being like, just the ignore. It just doesn't feel good.
I've had it the other way around. I've had it where, I've gone to a place and let's say she does kind of go off
Yeah.
and I'm by myself. And then I start socializing with her cousins, brothers, or aunts, whatever, like everybody. Because I don't mind talking. Like I enjoy socializing.
Yeah.
So we start socializing with everybody. And then afterwards we go home. I don't feel any kind of way about it. We leave together and whatever. If anything, the next time the family's going to be like, hey, where's Jose? Like he was cool. Like we wanted to talk to him. And I've seen it
And
the
she's
other
like,
way.
oh, I broke up with him.
Well, yeah, there you go. It's like, dang, we really liked him. And sometimes, because the opposite can happen, where the family can feel like, well, what's wrong with her? She doesn't even want to socialize with anybody. She just wants to, like you said, if they're judging, they'd be like, well, she thinks she's too good for us or something. Like she's just sitting over there by herself. Like she knows where we're at. If she wanted to be over here.
This is my issue with that, and I'll tell you because this
Talk
happened
to me, because I hate a nerve there. Talk to me.
Because when I've tried to do that, like let's say we're all sitting at the kitchen table and I'm trying to like
eating.
No, not eating. Maybe just like hanging out with
Drinking.
his family,
Glug, glug,
right?
glug,
Yeah, glug, glug, glug. Okay.
Setting the scene.
What am I drinking in this
Yeah,
scenario?
hold on. You got to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. I was trying to get the kink. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I was like trying to make conversation, but then they kind of go and they start talking about, it's usually about other family members. I don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
It's almost like a situation that I can't insert myself in this conversation because I have no backstory. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's that same feeling of like, I'm just sitting here watching this family that I don't know talk about George and Hank and whatever. And it's like, then they're going to be like, oh, well, she didn't really talk much. She must be shy. Like, no, dude, it's just, you're talking about something. I don't know who these people are.
I'll give you a tip on how to handle that in case you're wondering or in case you care or whatever. Because I've been in that situation too. So immediately I start asking questions. So they're talking about Hank. And they're like, yeah, Hank, he's very flatulent and he's not here today, but man, that dude just can't keep.
You'd be like, why is he so flatulent?
Exactly. Like, where did that come from? Is it a nervous tick or something? And they'll kind of, because now you're engaging with them. Yeah, I don't know him, but I'm going to get to know him based on these things that you start telling me about him. Oh, no, he's always been like that ever since he was a kid. And then grandma will be in there like, yeah, when he was little, he'd get nervous and blah, 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 blah. So the point being is that now you're engaged.
Yeah.
Now you're engaged. Yes, you don't know these people, but you ask questions.
Yeah.
And as you ask questions, like they're going to like you more. Even if you, again, have no point of reference, like you don't know this person, but now you are talking.
Yeah.
And they will eventually switch up the conversation. And they might be turn around like, what about you, Robbie? Like, where have you been? Like, like, where'd you go?
How often do you flatulate?
Do you just let them rip? Because my boy likes that. No,
That's another. What if they put you on the spot with some question in front of everybody that makes you really uncomfortable?
just don't feel uncomfortable.
No, but if it's like something like, let's say that I'm dating a guy and he told his whole family I'm recently divorced. And then we're all standing around, talking and they're like, oh, why'd you get divorced? It's like,
Oh, I mean, if they were to ask that,
that's what I'm saying in front of
that'd be
everybody, like
that'd be
something very
weird
awkward.
question. Yeah, I mean, you're graceful. You would figure out and just say, oh, it just didn't work out. Differences of opinion,
Yeah.
or, like it just, because anybody that would ask that question and thinks that there's one thing, and don't get me wrong, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back. Don't get me wrong. But it's almost, I would say, never one thing. It's a combination of things whenever,
Right.
especially when a marriage dissolves. Like there's a lot to it. It's not just one thing. He leaves the towels on the table.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this was a very, very good conversation.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And yeah, I don't, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Enjoy your food with your family, and remind me not to go over to your your Thanksgiving, because
They're gonna
I
be
don't feel like
judging
getting
you.
judged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't care. I never really worry about stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But it can be
Sounds
very
weird.
nerve-wracking, especially in the relationship. You just meeting the other person's family. It's just, it can be like, you could be nervous.
I like it. It
Yeah.
tells me a lot more about them. it gave me more insight into that person and how they are.
Yeah.
And even it's weird sometimes, like, that's where you came from.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. Well, thank you for doing this. And
Yes.
I guess until next time.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy Thanksgiving.
everyone.
Gobble, gobble. All right.